Okay, so the next section is all about Best Buys, and like I said, this is gonna be one of the chief sections for our next project, alright? We won't get into the project a lot, but basically you're going to have to refurbish, your house or an apartment, because basically, we kinda came up with it burned down, and so you're trying to refurbish your environment. But you gotta buy basically everything, so, but before we get to that, we do this little section about Best Buys. So, when we talk about Best Buys, we're talking about unit prices. What's a unit price?
So much it costs per like grand or house.
Okay, exactly right. So, could be listed as anything, right? In our case, could be ounces, could be pounds, quarts, tons, dozens. Okay, so this would be something where you would start to comparative shop, and you would think about going from your everyday small grocery store to then maybe Fairway, then maybe to Hy-Vee, then maybe to Costco, right? Does anybody have a membership to Costco or one of those kind of places? Sam's, okay, kind of the same thing, right? So why do people go to Costco and that sort of thing? Buy it in bulk, right? And so you get it cheaper, right? And we're talking about things that basically we know we're gonna use, right? So you probably don't wanna buy bulk of eggs because they're gonna go bad. But you can buy bulk of toilet paper or, yeah, or whatever, that you know that you're going to use. And so, one of the most important things is that you have to be able to do some conversions. Now, a lot of people don't like conversions when you do this in math. So this is where you gotta really kind of do some work. So on page 348, there is a little math tip chart, but they basically have the same thing that's up on the screen right now. Okay, so again, remember, when you're doing a conversion, you're gonna set up a fraction, and you're going to make sure that you can multiply that fraction, right? But when you're doing a conversion, if you're going, we'll do something simple, like meters per second, and we want to convert that into what? Kilometers per hour, right? Okay, oops. So when you're doing this, now obviously we don't have to do anything like this for a Best Buy, but we're just kind of showing you what this is turning into. Remember that if I have meters here and I want it to turn into kilometers, for it to turn into kilometers, I'm going to multiply by my conversion. So we should actually probably slide this down so we know, or we got enough room to do all of our math. But if we're going to do this conversion, my meters have to be on the bottom. And then this new fraction is the relationship between your meters and kilometers. So how many meters are there in 1 kilometer? Do you know? 1,000, right? So is there 1,000 meters or 1,000 kilometers? 1,000 meters. So I got 1,000, but my meters are diagonal, and then I have kilometers up here. So my meters are going to cancel out, and then whatever's left over should hopefully be whatever I am converting it into. If it's not, then I just have to do that again. Okay? And then obviously, if I'm going from seconds to hours, I'm going to do the same thing. But my seconds in this case are going to be on top, and my hours are going to be on bottom. And then we know that there's, what, how many seconds are in an hour?
60. That's a minute.
There's 3,600, right? Because there's 60 minutes or 60 seconds in a minute, and there's 60 minutes in an hour. So 60 times 60 is 3,600.
And there's like 18,000 something.
81,000.
Yeah.
18. But notice again, if my seconds cancel each other out, whatever's left over again should be, and then at the end you multiply across the top and across the bottom, or you simplify first and then you get your conversion. So basically that's the same kind of thing that you're going to, what we're getting at here is that when you do these comparisons, you got to make sure that everything's in the same measurement. don't compare ounces into gallons, okay? Then obviously when you're starting to do all this stuff, you gotta think about, well, am I able to buy this in a bigger thing? And will I use it? Is it worth for me to buy that bigger thing, right? Especially if it's more expensive. Now obviously, if it's a bigger container, whatever we're talking about, and it's cheaper, even if it might go to waste, you probably buy the bigger one, right? Because who cares? But if you know that you're going to use it, okay? So if you're in the, whatever kind of business, you're a cleaning crew, and you can get some high quality cleaning, will you pay a little extra? That's what you have to decide on. Is it worth me buying a big drum of it and then, pouring it into little containers that I could give out to each one of our employees to use? Or is it worth me buying all those little things? That's what we're thinking about. Now, for us, ourselves, does it really make sense for us to buy a big old tub of cleaning stuff? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. If it's never gonna go bad, maybe we buy one tub and it lasts us our whole life, and then you can give away some for Christmas and whatever, right? So you can re-gift it a little bit, all right? So those are things that you gotta think about though. Obviously, again, you don't wanna do a lot of this with certain things like food, milk. You probably don't wanna buy in bulk and that kind of stuff, right?
Do it in the parlor.
You do, well, yeah, right, it's a different situation though, right?
Yes.
Okay, so, let's look at this, and again, now, you're gonna make a comparison. So, look at letter A and letter B on page 348. So, going back to this, when they ask which is better, they're thinking sheer price. Okay? That's how they make the distinction between what's better. Alright? So, letter A, a store sells an 18-ounce box of National Mills cornflakes for $3.29 and a 24-ounce box of Keller's cornflakes for $3.99. Which box sells for less per ounce, and how much less per ounce? So, here's the first thing. If you're going to do this per ounce, where does the ounces have to go, on the top or on the bottom? If it says per ounce, on the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to do what?
Divide the price by ounces.
Perfect. So I'm going to take $3.29 and divide it by 18. And I'm going to do, what was the other number?
$3.99 divided by 24.
Divided by 24. So by just looking at it, if you're shopping real quick, could you really tell the difference in this one? Probably not, because obviously the smaller one is cheaper, which it probably should be. So I don't know if you can tell that right offhand without getting your calculator out. And, do any of you do this now? You probably never do this because you don't really care, right?
Okay. Be the older green.
I do this when I'm buying like paper plates or styrofoam plates. I always think, well, is it worth me going to the next size? You know what I mean? Meaning from 200 to 400. I know it's more expensive, but then you punch it into your phone and you find out that it's a little cheaper in the long run. Okay. So, how much? Which one's better? This one?
Yeah.
By how much?
2 cents.
2 cents. Okay. Somewhere around 2 cents. All right. So again, obviously, if you're doing this right here and the bigger one was less expensive, you're probably going to go with the bigger one, like I said, because you don't really care if you waste it, maybe. But you always have the bigger one. Okay. So in this case right here, you can buy a package of 4 D batteries for $5.99 or a package of 2 D batteries for $3.49. Which package costs less? So this is important because why?
Batteries last forever.
Okay, I don't know about that.
Well, it lasts like you set them out and it lasts forever.
Okay, but notice here, remember, in the first package, obviously the first package better be a lot more expensive, right? Because you're getting 4 instead of just 2. So again, if the package of 4 would cost less, I'm jumping at that one right away. I'm not even doing my calculation, okay? So again, do I need batteries? Is it okay if they sit in a drawer for a while and then I go back? Maybe, maybe not, right? That's totally in some people's, I guess, viewpoint. So which one's better though?
4.
The 4-pack's better by,
2 cents again.
No, it's like.
0.2475.
how much?
0.2475.
So if it's 0.24,
That's
25.
there you go, 25 cents.
You're struggling.
So 25 cents
I got
is,
one wrong, shut up.
is the big deal, right? 25 cents, that's a pretty good deal, right? Right. Okay? So again, make sure that you're looking at it with the viewpoint of, can I get by with it sitting there for a while, or if it's gonna go to waste, okay? In the next section, then they talk about calculating savings. So this would be doing this kind of process where it affects you in a bigger picture, okay? So how can I save money? Do I look for these bargains? And this is where you're going to get a set of amount of money in this project, and you'll have to see how much you can get at the end, all right? So you're really looking at how I can pinch the penny a little bit. And again, this is kind of good for you guys getting into the real world, okay? So let's go over to C. A 53.7 square foot roll of country paper towels costs $1.49. An 80.6 square foot roll of the same paper towels costs $1.89 on sale, which is less expensive per square foot. So again, when they say per square foot, where does my feet have to go? On the bottom. So on the first one, I'm doing $1.49 divided by 53.7. The second one, I'm doing $1.89 divided by 80.6. So which one's better for us?
No. The 80.
The larger one, right? If you do the larger one, so per square inch, this one's now 0.028, so now we're back into dollars, 2 cents. So both of them are right around 2 cents, but then you get into the third decimal point, which isn't really cents, but that's how you're gonna make your comparison here. So really, in this one right here, it's pretty even, but we might as well go with the bigger one then, right? Because paper towels really aren't gonna go bad, okay? After the holidays, you can buy boxes of greeting cards at 2 for $32. The same box is sold during the season for $23.99. If you bought 6 boxes after the holidays, how much would you save? Now this is where you gotta be a little bit careful because you gotta read the first sentence carefully. Now when you're buying these, you're getting 2 at $32. So basically, 1 box costs you what? $16, right? So if you bought $6 boxes after the holidays, how much are you gonna save? Well, first off, how many groups of greeting cards for the 2 for $32 do I get? 3 of them, right? Because I want 6 boxes, so I take 6 divided by 2, so I'm gonna do $32 times 3 to figure out what I get after the holidays. And then what do I do before the holidays? I do 23.99 times the 6. So what's my difference? $47.94, right?
Couldn't you, so when you said the 2 for 32,
Yeah.
couldn't you just do that 1 for 16?
You could do
And 1
16 times 6.
six.
Yep, you could do 16 times 6, as long as you can figure it out. Yep, absolutely.
And then you just do the 23.99 or 6?
Times 6 and then subtract the 2. Yep, absolutely. Okay? Any questions with that part? So then the next part is about whether it's better to rent something or to buy it. So this would be something like
True.
maybe a trailer, okay, that's a good one. maybe, if you wanna build a garden, make a garden, whatever, and you need a tiller, okay? How many people really own their own tiller? Carson probably does, okay? So is it better for me to ask Carson to borrow his and pay him a couple dollars or whatever, or go out and buy a brand new tiller that I'm going to use maybe once a year, right? So that's what this next section is about, okay? So what else would you think about?
Babysitter.
You don't buy a babysitter.
babysitter.
Yeah, built-in babies.
No,
Built-in
I'm not gonna buy
babysitter.
it.
Much paint you need
I'm not
for
gonna
a
buy
wall?
a person.
Amazing.
A what?
How much paint you need for a wall?
Okay, paint maybe, or a paint sprayer.
Yeah, or like seed.
Oh, power washer.
A power washer.
You don't
is a
rent
different-
seed.
What?
I was gonna rent it.
Yeah, you're not gonna rent some seed and give it back after you're done.
Shop vac.
Tool.
Maybe a vacuum, a big.
A carpet cleaner.
A carpet cleaner.
Ice cream
Yeah.
machine.
An ice cream machine for a graduation party. There you go. Okay. A U-Haul's a good one,
A
right?
smoker.
A smoker maybe. Okay, so those are all options, right? Alright, so is it better for me to do this? And what you have to realize for this section is, how are you gonna get that rental? Is it per hour? Is it per day? Is it per half a day? Is it per whatever? But you gotta make sure that you understand what you're getting and for how long you're getting it. That makes sense? So make sure you read it closely what it says. So, letter E. Carrie wants to rent a large screen video projection system to see games 3, 4, and 5 of the World Series. The projection system rental price by the day is $130, and by the week it's $600. If the 3 games are played over 4 days, which rental rate will be least expensive? So, what do you think?
Per day.
Per day by what?
$80.
80 bucks. Perfect. Everybody understand why? Okay. Letter F. Now we're going to talk about paint. Jill plans to paint her garage and estimates that it will take about 5 hours to do it with the paint sprayer. She can rent a sprayer at an hourly rate for $18, a half-day rate, which is 8 hours, for $56, or a full day, which is 24 hours, for $80, which is the least expensive rental rate for her task.
Yeah, half day.
Why do you say that?
Because it only takes her 5 hours.
Okay, so if it takes her 5 hours, we could definitely figure out that, she's gonna do 5 times 18 for the daily rate, right?
See, she estimated it. She might mess up.
What's that?
I'm kidding. I'm just saying, 3 hours will grow. Wiggle it.
Well, if it does take longer
She
than
did
5
ask
hours,
me.
she still has 3 more hours to get it done for 56 instead of 90 or whatever you got.
Maybe she could put down more.
Because
They're saying that the full day rate is best.
it's $80. That doesn't
Why?
work.
You only need it for 5 hours.
Oh, what I'm guessing is this, do the division. If you did, $18 divided by 5, it would be how much?
3.6.
3.6. If you do 56 divided by 8, you get what?
7.
And if you get 80 divided by 24, you get what?
$3.30.
Well, that's belong.
3.3 cents. So,
Dumb.
now here's the other thing that you gotta think about. So, if you could definitely know that you're going to be only 5 hours, then you probably look into the middle one. But what happens if, then all of a sudden, somebody knocks over the paint can, so we gotta go back to the store to get more paint. And then Bunk's mom calls her, so she's on the phone with mom for a couple hours.
Heck no.
No?
That's not happening.
So what I'm getting at is, I would guess some of that had to be taken into consideration. But why they figured out, I understand what you're saying, you're looking at it straight money wise, right? They're looking at it as per hour of money, okay? And then turn the page, and then we talk about renting versus buying. So this is kind of what we were getting into with our other conversation, besides the seeds. Okay, so we're looking at
Why would you rent?
some of those things that you guys said out loud. So, letter G. A backpack leaf blower rents for $25 a day. The same leaf blower sells new for $169.99. Mecca thinks she will use the leaf blower for 5 days a year to clean her garage of dust, dirt, and her yard of leaves. How many days of renting to the nearest tenth of a day will it take for the rental cost to equal or exceed the purchase price?
6.8 days.
And how did you do that?
169.99 divided by 25.
So I take the grand total divided by 25. So is it worth basically 7 days of rental of buying a new leaf blower?
Yeah.
Then you can own it and sell it.
Right. You can own it and,
You
You
could
could
sell it
use
to
it
rent
next
it off.
right? Maybe you could, rent it to your buddies or whatever. Even if you only rented it for $10 a day, you could still get something, right? But everybody see what we did in that one? Took the grand total and divided by how much it was per day. In H, oh, they just talked about a different ladder, or a different size ladder, okay? Do we need to go through H?
No.
Alright. So, here is, did we give you the assignments for the other days?
No.
So we don't have any assignments, alright. So here
We just
is,
do this all on one sheet.
that's fine, that's totally fine, because I don't think there's too many that even apply.
All is in your court.
Alright, so here's section 3,
I'm doing it all.
and that's totally fine too, I don't care what you do.
You didn't press stop yet. Oh.
He's got a shuffle.
It's on.
So here's section 3,